forget. Because this 1 and 5 might be a 1 and 10 that you and I are gonna get back together again. Yeah.
So I hear you're on your way over here.
Yeah. It's like surreal. I'm actually traveling overseas for a gig.
Yep, you must be one of the first few.
I think so. Yeah, from what I'm hearing, yeah.
Yep. So what brought you to this point? Did you have your mind made up to do this as soon as things opened up, or what happened?
I've been meaning to go out solo for a few years actually. Always after kind of this album cycle, I wanted to take my solo show around the planet. I had that in Australia about 8 years ago, and so it just took a while to get over to Europe and in America, and so that was the plan. And then everything kind of hit the fan, and yes, it did. And so now, just do a small festival tour, probably the only touring festival on the planet.
Right.
About a month ago, and I was playing solo. And I was like, I think we can start doing it in Oz. And then all of a sudden, the bubble opened up, and we were able to Aotearoa, and here we are.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, Blues Fest got canceled twice in a row. I mean, that's got to be tough for the scene over there, isn't it?
It's tough for the organizer, I think, more than anything. Noble and all that crew, it's I think they'd probably drop $1 million just getting the site ready, and let alone else. So I really felt for those guys. It's interesting. I think I'm in a slightly different kind of scene, so to speak. I'm a fairly established artist. I've been lucky to sell a lot of albums and do a lot of touring, and so I think the people who really suffered are more the backbone of the industry. So like the crew, the people who work from job to job to job to job to job. Bands go tour and then they take a break and they tour. And we set up our businesses for these long feast and famines. Whereas I think crew are a whole different kettle of fish, and so I've really been feeling for them.
Yeah. Now you're going to be here in the middle of May 15th and 16th. You have gigs in Christchurch and just down the street here at the power station. But before that, you're doing quite a few dates in Australia as well, right?
No, you guys are the first.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the other way around.
You're the first gigs of the whole Australasian tour. Yeah, literally.
Excellent. Well, that's even more exciting. So, and it's going to be solo, right?
Yeah, all solo. And I've been having so much fun playing solo. It's been really, really nice. So, gonna be doing that.
So what have you been doing? Have you been working on everybody's been writing music in the last year because they can't do much else. I assume you have been doing the same.
Yeah, I've been kind of upskilling a little bit. I've been teaching myself how to engineer and record at home. This summer I was heading before the pandemic, just because I love working alone and I love working really, really early in the morning by myself. I love the kind of mad professor witching hour kind of time. So it was always part of the plan, but the pandemic kind of definitely, expedited that.
Right. So what can we expect on these shows here in New Zealand? What are you going to be performing?
I think everything that you love about the trio. I mean, I play with a lot of rhythm and it's pretty full spectrum sonically. So everything that you probably like from the trio. I mean, mostly, obviously I'm not with two other people, but there's quite a lot of sound there. And then, then the inverse, really delicate kind of pin drop moments. I tend to talk more and tell more stories, not because I've curated stories from the hood kind of stories from the past from kind of show, but I think when you play in that really true singer-songwriter format, you just tend to tell more stories. It's part of the tradition. It lends itself to that. So there's a lot more of that. You're probably going to find out more than you want to know about me. But that's what I part of my sleeve. So what you get is what you get. And yeah, it's I think the dynamic range is larger because of that. I can still get all up in your sonic grill as far as like a wall of sound that goes off your face, and then
Right.
take it really, really, really back, and it literally goes from instrumental solo wall of sound to the complete inverse, which is like beat poetry and no instrument,
Right.
and then looping in between and folk songs in between, and it just goes all over the joint, and it's kind of like the best representation of kind of who I am. A little bit crazy. I can't pick what kind of style I am, and all those good things.
Right. And do you have any reservations about traveling? Are you worried? Are you doing stuff to keep safe?
No, I've been traveling a bit.
Yeah.
Overall, I've been caught behind enemy lines, COVID lines, where I've had to quarantine and had to
Right.
isolate and had to wait here to go there, and I'm fairly robust on that.
Right.
At the moment, I have had. Oops, sorry about that. That was
That's right.
a warning, though. But I've had my fair share of quarantine this year. I've had about 6 weeks all up, and I'm at my limit, but I'm not afraid of doing more for gigs and
Right.
bringing music to people. One thing I have learned through having done these shows, watching the audience, and it's like, I think we're all drinking from a very lovely fountain after, being quite parched and thirsty for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's really gonna, one of me wants to say provide that service. Another thing is like you're completely providing me the service of being able to do it. So it's that symbiosis. I think, that's what culture is about.
Right.
Telling stories, sharing music, and enjoying connectivity. So, I feel pretty privileged and honored and thirsty.
Yeah, thirsty. Well, I mean, was it tough for you to kind of be away from an audience for as long as you were?
No.
No.
I've spent close to 30 years being away a lot.
Yeah.
And I think if I was to generalize, and I do mean generalize, I think I, along with a lot of the world, was like,
Yeah.
a little bit like the rat race in this kind of one-way road to kind of, environmental, ecocidal collapse. It was nice to take a break, and I think a lot of us, we're kind of shown that things can change on the dime when we want them to, which is really kind of inspiring as far as thinking about things like climate change and what have you, and dealing with this climate, potential catastrophe that we're dealing with. I think that's exciting to go, oh, right, we can pivot industry really quick. We can pivot, bureaucracy and these fundamentals of our government really quickly when we want to. And we've seen that in the past on World War II when we shifted all industry towards the war effort. I think, pandemic has definitely shown us that we can shift industry towards trying to live a little bit more sustainably and a little more equitably on this planet. Easier said than done, I understand. But I think the pandemic has definitely shown us, we don't all have to be commuting to work. We don't all have to be like getting, exorbitant, childcare bills to, put our kids in care so we can work. It's like we can kind of do both. It's kind of bringing the village a little bit back in. And I think, there's something good to be said about that. Mind you, we live in Australia and Aotearoa, and, we haven't seen the sharp end of what COVID has given us, but definitely shown us that there's other ways possible. And I think one way fast train that we've all been on with these bing, 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 zing, zing, it's nice to actually go, whoa.
Yeah. Whoa, indeed. So it sounds like you're pretty much optimistic about how things are turning out post-COVID, if there is such a thing. Do you see, is it just a Southern Hemisphere type phenomenon, or do you think things are going to change overall? Because they really kind of have to, don't they?
Dude, you're asking the wrong person here. I mean, I need to be like a freaking viral scientist here. I think for right now, it's a bubble thing. I think
Yeah.
Aotearoa in Australia happened to be one of the most lucky, isolated parts of the planet. I live in Western Australia. I live in Southwestern Australia. I mean,
Yep.
people don't even have a grip of what the hell is going on in the world. They're like, everybody's walking around with masks and, not considering much. I mean, people are a lot more responsible than they used to be, but, we don't have a real perspective. To be honest, I mean, I watch the news. I'm like, you haven't left your block in a year and a half. I mean, so, I think for right now, it's definitely an Australia-wide and Aotearoa-based thing. And at any moment, as we've seen with Police Fest, it's like, it can change. And one thing I guess I would say is being solo is really good to respond to that, because,
Right.
getting the trio on the road is, it's like getting a Mack truck going. It takes a lot of effort. And once you're out, you got to stay out. And once you cancel, it's like, it comes at a cost. So
yeah.
If I cancel something, I can literally be back the next week, with 2 other guys and pull off the show. We're pretty versatile and limber that way. So I do feel optimistic within the format that I'm in. And interestingly, I think a lot of industries are kind of doing that. They're getting a little bit more limber. They're taking a lot of the weight out. All killer, no filler. And it's probably a good way to do right now.
Right. So it sounds like the trio is a going concern, just not at the moment. Is that the way it stands?
Well, I mean, it's not a going concern. It's always going to be a lovely passion. I love having a band. It will be there. As I said, it just wasn't part of the plan, pre-COVID. I wanted to really take this tour out for a few years. It takes a few years to get around the planet, I found, gigging. I wanted to really show that part of, my art, I guess, so to speak. So, yeah, the trio, what happened, I'm making music in my studio that has beats and synths and bass everywhere. So I can't do all that myself, and I'm not really interested in playing with the backing track and giving you glorified karaoke just yet. So, I mean, there'll be a band at some point, just not right now.
And the last album came out several years ago. So are you thinking in terms of what you're going to record next?
Yeah, I'm recording at the moment, which is really interesting, engineering myself and putting it all together, and there's some good stuff and there's some crap stuff. And, some days I think it's amazing. Some things I think it's the opposite, and vice versa.
Right.
The last album, I guess, was now 3 years ago. But yeah, I mean, I'm always writing. I always have been, and I kind of always will. It's kind of what I do. If I'm not making music, I'm literally like making like leather products for my stuff. So I'm like, I gotta be busy with my hands, otherwise my mind gets busy on me, and I'd rather my mind leave me alone most of the time.
I see. Okay.
If you know what I mean,
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah. So when you're recording, do you prefer to, like you say, some of the songs are crap, some of them aren't or great? Do you need someone to tell you which one's which, or can you work on your own like that and make those decisions?
I mean, I've always produced my albums, if not produced my albums. So, sorry, it's just, my telling me I'm running out of batteries. Emergency. I will plug in. I will listen to the robot just for a second.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I've always, music for me, I just make music to get me off. I always have done. I've made music to kind of satisfy me. It's a bit selfish. It's a bit, self-indulgent, but I think that's what art is to a certain degree. It's a process and it's a journey, and that's how I understand the world. That's how I understand myself. Some people journal and write, and I make music and art, and that helps me understand. So, I'll always do that. And I at the moment, it's actually really good not to have anybody around. I think it's really dangerous to set the barometer on what is good art based on what other people think of it.
Okay.
Art is so subjective.
Yep.
I've literally seen shit on a canvas, and people think it's the most amazing thing in the world. And then I've seen beautiful realistic art that like it looks like you could have taken it with a
Yep.
a photo. And
Yep.
feel as a man.
Yeah.
And yet people think it's the most boring thing ever. So art is art, and I think when I'm making it, I'm trying to commune with something that I don't really understand, but helps me understand something bigger than what I am. And
Right.
that's a really personal thing. And so I'll throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall, see what sticks. And then at some point, when I'm ready to share it, when I will, and people will tell me what they think, and I'll usually hope that they agree with me, and if they don't, I might ignore them.
Fair enough. What the heck?
It is sometimes, and sometimes I'll listen to them.
Right. And do you have you had a chance to listen to many other artists, especially during lockdown and all that? Have you explored a little bit?
I'm terrible at listening to music. I'm always like, anytime I want to do something, I pick up something to make or play.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely some fantastic artists around, and I think for me, I listen to like a lot of hip hop. I love programmed bass and drums and stuff.
Right.
And so there's a few Kid Cudi. I love what he does. There's a guy named Maxo Cream. It's like full gangster rap, but like
Right.
really beautiful beats and syncopation and vocal cadence.
Right.
There's a local artist named Jack Davies in the Bush Chooks.
Bush Trucks. I like it.
Bush Chooks. I went to one of his gigs, and that was really good. I was really captivated. There's a few. There's definitely there's always somebody come out of the woodwork. Who I'm amazed by. And
Right.
there's no shortage of talent, that's for sure. The list goes on. I'm constantly having my mind blown and being inspired, and
Yeah. Well, I think it's inspired move to be among the first international artists to come around this side of the Tasman. It should be pretty interesting because we've missed international artists. We've got a great local scene, fortunately, but still, we like to have a little give and take going on. So,
I might not be the most top tier international artist, not from the most far flung exotic place, but I'm happy to be the first.
we got to start somewhere, right?
You got to start somewhere.
No, it should be cool. Yeah, especially. I mean, you're going to be right at the power station. You played here before, so just around the corner from me here. So we're looking forward to that. It's a great venue.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It should be fun.
All righty. Well, thank you for talking to me. We'll see you in about a
Marty,
month, less than a month.
Yeah, man. Look forward to it as well. Be well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hopefully the powers that be will keep us safe and unquarantined until then.
I think it's probably more like the bacteria and viruses that be.
Hey, I think you're right. Very good. All right. See you later.
Peace.
Bye-bye.